Welcome to the buymeacoffee.com/James Poetry, the coffee tips page that supports my James Poetry creative productions and work. See also jamespoetry.online. Hello, Perceptive Reader. This is James Lynch. And what I want to talk to you about this afternoon, I hope you're having a great day, is the thought came to my mind about accreditation, which actually gives the colleges or any other type of institution requesting funds, from the government for education, libraries, and stuff like that. They're given. In other words, they have really proven to have curriculum that I would say truly help people. And it is based on close to, yes, I'm going to say it, 100% facts. You see what I'm saying? Tested facts and everything. And so I think you would agree with that. I think I told you before that some of those teachers who received awards for Teachers of the Year and things of that nature, some of them actually had a knack for when new books were coming out. They actually could find mistakes, examples that were not clear, especially in math, and they would take the time to sometimes write back to the publishers or what have you to let them know about this or that. That's just a FYI. So for the most part, again, you have a lot of colleges and they have a lot of backing and proof as to why they have their accreditation to teach these courses. What has happened with some of them, as you know, is some persons, I got to use it, they started pushing ahead, and they just, in some of their lectures, they really went overboard and it just became a practice. You see what I'm saying? So there you go. But I would still say all the same, since they still had the books that they needed, the curriculum where the students could still verify this and that, the colleges still keep their accreditation because their facts are there. They're right in front of the students. Now, with that being said, this is what I want to say is, I only really found this out within the past 5 years or so, that there is really almost like a competition for that, to maintain your accreditation. It's like a competition for colleges to keep proving themselves in that way. And it actually places persons in that competitive mode to what? To really take chances that they wouldn't otherwise. And you can see some of the examples from some of the allowed unpeaceful protests, even on college campuses. No, nothing like that should be allowed. The point is, if they want to protest again, why in the world did it have to turn into destroying statues and other stuff and keeping people from moving about freely? No, that was that really necessary? I do know that some colleges actually has areas almost like park-like areas where that would be the place that would be designated for that. Not just some student all of a sudden getting upset and then going to the principal building and all these other, areas that's blocking fire. Anyway, the whole point is, when you're still in that type of scenario, even though they say college, has a lot of real world scenarios as well too, I'm sorry, it's still, there's certain activities, even in learning about civil rights or what have you, where for the campus in general, It should just still be like a controlled environment, if you know what I mean. I don't mean restrictions of freedoms and stuff like that, but you know what I'm talking about. Now, with all of that being mentioned, you see, because I'm still talking about accreditation and the frame of mind that people are put in. You see what I'm saying? You know, I talk about peer pressure, the effects it has on people. And so this is all I'm going to talk about or mention about people who go overboard and then even start uh, abusing their authority or what have you. Um, you know, you always got some people that, in this competitive world, they're just waiting in the wings to always take this person place or that person place. And then with some of the methods that they're using, some of the misrepresentation that they're using, then once that one person get out of office, they go in there and they do something just as worse, just as bad, but they get to throw shots, all they want all day long while they're not in that position. So what am I telling you? I would still, in a lot of ways, take things with a grain of salt sometimes. When somebody's even bringing out that this person is abusing their authority, I would just be balanced with saying dogmatically on whether that accreditation or that person is just a totally bad person. Sometimes it takes some years not to speak as dogmatically about this person or that person or what have you. And that's why when you deal with one-on-one situations, y'all can have a knockdown, drag out, talk about persons and things of that nature. But all the same, I want to emphasize something. And see, now I'm going to move this to something because, see, I see what's going on. And I'm just going to relate to you again, especially with God's church, with his congregation. This is what I want to tell you. There are so many examples in there that apply to so many people who's trying to serve God. You see what I'm saying? So many examples. And for their circumstances. And it's interesting because when you're doing the best that you can, then sometimes you end up finding out that, I really do fall into this situation right here because it's not one that I picked for myself. It's just that these are the circumstances that I just have, and God allowed it or maneuvered it or what have you. So with that being said, this is what I'm still want to emphasize. If this is the case, that God's house is still on this earth and still going to stay on this earth, God's house, its accreditation is still directly from God. The letters of certification, validation, accreditation have all come from the Holy Spirit. And that's the fact. That's Bible-based. And no matter how people try to twist the scriptures or what have you, the way they do, that's still the fact of the matter. So the church doesn't have to prove itself as far as having an accreditation for Bibles and things of that nature. The situation still is, I told you, it boils down to the individuals at times that, need some training or have lost their way. And in those situations, I admit, some of them can take some time to resolve depending on the individuals or that then gather together or what have you. Yeah, that happens. That certainly happens. Yet at the same time, even as the church works with these different individuals, to try to help them or do whatever else may need to be done, that still doesn't mean that all of a sudden, because these persons are faith-based, so to speak, that all of a sudden you start discriminating against their faith-based people. Do you understand what I'm saying? You shouldn't do that. You just shouldn't do that. And so that's what I want to emphasize, because according to God's prophecy, and hopefully persons won't never fall into this, but I told you, once it really get to the point that if some persons really take something or move to really try to take something that God has given a person, there's a principle about this, that God has really given the person, then there's a promise that God will act. And so you don't, but see, I'm not always saying whether it be instantly or not, but there is going to be a situation in the future where, it'll be very, very quickly, either way. And see, so some persons who really get happy or even gloat over somebody who's a faith-based downfall, is some of them, because they're like, oh, now I can take that accreditation, I can take that place, I can take that storehouse, if you will. And like I told you, I would be very careful with that type of line of thinking, because one, I'll go ahead and give you this as a freebie. I've seen what I told you just in the past minute or so more times than I can count on two hands. Persons sometimes speaking, going in with that I can do it attitude and this and that or what have you. First thing they did was, jumped on the person who was in it, all through competitive modes and stuff. And some of those persons, no, they really weren't abusing their authority. But at the same time, remember I talk about accurate information. They weren't given the accurate information that they needed to actually have a well-rounded view of who and what does what. And so while they were trying to do this, they still had all these other persons in their competitive mode trying to take them out, set them up, and everything else. And it happened quite a bit. And there were some persons who did have some pretty neat personalities. But the so-called demon or evil persons that sometimes people want to call them, it wasn't them who got taken out of there. It was actually still even some of the ones that shouldn't have acted that way. So I just want to let you know that every situation, I'm going to keep on emphasizing, you can't be dogmatic. If you're not willing to deal with the individual one-on-one or what have you, or want to sit up there and try to make one punishment fit all, I say again, you're walking down a messed up path. And that's what I'm saying. You're walking down the messed up path. Why are you so scared to address the person? See, that's the question that needs to be asked. Why are you scared to address the person? If that's the case, that's what, I would say. No, there's too much, I told you, gang, group thinking, condemning decisions. And that's what I'm going to emphasize. People need to just work through and stop having all this group stuff happening that I say again is destroying people's livelihood, and it goes higher. But I'm not going into it. Take care of yourself, helps the reader.